Well, good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. What a beautiful start to your Friday. Man, a great weekend shaping up for us. It is July the 18th, 2014, and it is a little bit into the noon hour here, and we are starting to clear out. We've had a lot of cloud cover around this morning. We've still got some cloud cover around parts of the state, but we got some clearing lines working in here, and we are in for another pleasant day. We got some big changes to talk about. I want to make sort of the goal of this is to give you a hint, kind of the pattern of where we are going at over the next couple of weeks and maybe even beyond that to give you an idea. All right. Today's video update is sponsored by Metal Magic in Washington. You can give Chad a call at 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs. And of course, tell them that Southern Indiana weather sent you. All right, beautiful out there, as I said. Can you believe this weather? I mean, we are only up to 75 degrees here at the noon hour, 76 in Evansville, 74 up there in Bloomington, even 72 up in Indianapolis. It's just 70 sort of all across the state here. And you can't beat this weather. We've got some clearing starting to work in here, which is a good thing. A few sprinkles down here, but it's mainly confined to Kentucky. There's a pretty big moisture plume over here, but it looks like, for the most part, that is going to miss us almost entirely. You can see as we zoom in to our normal radar here, most of the shower activity is just down in Kentucky, and that's pretty much where it's staying. I think we're going to stay pretty much high and dry here over the greatest majority of southern Indiana today. It's possible that maybe just some of our far southeast counties might get sort of grazed with a passing shower or two, but the rest of us should, I think, stay dry from the way things look. All right, let's time this out really quickly before we get into the long-term stuff. Let's time this out on future radar. Talk about our weekend at hand and what's going. Here's that rain as it moves in, and you can see, yes, maybe just a small portion of our southeastern Indiana counties get sort of grazed with a little bit of rain here, but then that quickly moves on, and you notice probably 95 to 98% of the state of Indiana stays dry out of this today. Don't have anything to worry about tonight. Even on Saturday, the rain stays down in Kentucky, and we have the very slightest chance of maybe an isolated sprinkle or two Saturday afternoon dotting the map somewhere here in the state. And that's about it. I've not put any rain chances at all in for Saturday. Do have a 20% chance in for Sunday, but really the high-res NAM here is absolutely not very aggressive either. And you can see it's just a few dots here in the afternoon hours, and that's about it as far as rain goes. So over the next few days, I think Sunday is our better chance for rain here in southern Indiana, but again, it's not an aggressive chance either. Now, those will change as we go in through the next week. We will have plenty of rain chances almost daily next week, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Let's talk about our temperature pattern because we are in a below normal pattern right now. And I don't know about you, but I'm loving the 70s, but 88 degrees is our normal high temperature for where we should be this time of the year. Let's take a look at this. We haven't used this graphic in a while, but I want to go back to this and sort of talk to you about what we can expect. What you're looking here, if you're getting into these blues and green shades like you see up in here, for example, this is below normal temperatures. We're looking at temperature anomalies here, okay? Basically, we're actually looking at height anomalies up at 500 millibars, but that translates to above or below normal temperatures for all practical aspects. By the time you get into the browns and even into these oranges and things like that, then you get into the warmer temperatures. So that's sort of the basic explanation. Right now you can see here's Indiana right here where I'm pointing to. Here's the United States. This is a terribly drawn United States, but I know it's hard to see. Indiana is sort of right in there. All right, that gives you an idea of where we're at least. As I go through this, what I want you to notice is we do warm up next week. All right, so here we go as we start through the next week period, and we've got a nice warm up goes on. But notice the warm up, it doesn't last, and we go back down below normal after that. And it looks like we could be even potentially below normal, a decent way below normal. What's responsible for this? Well, let's go up here to the 500 millibar level. We're looking at winds about 18,000 feet. Okay, so the different shadings here are heights of where the 500 millibar pressure is. Typically, it's about 18,000 feet, but it varies between whether it's lower up here and higher down towards the south. But this also corresponds to the flow of where we get our weather. All right, as I come through this, look what happens. Look out west, you've got this giant ridge of high pressure building. I've talked about this in the video a couple of days ago when I talked about the typhoon that's hitting mainland China this weekend. And again, 6 to 10 days after that, it translates whenever a typhoon hits sort of the mainland Asia border over there, that translates into a heat ridge out somewhere here for the central United States typically. And that will warm us up, but that'll also lead to a cool down eventually too. And here's what we've got going on. Here is that heat ridge build up. So essentially what you have here is a huge, I don't know why I put that in red. Let me put this in blue so I can be right here. Got a huge ridge of high pressure here. Notice you've got a low pressure here that's starting to work its way in. You've got another low pressure here, and your flow is sort of like this for your mid-level jet stream. That's kind of where we're at with this. Now let me put this into motion. That heat ridge builds, and we go back into the warm sector for a little bit. So we're going to warm up to near normal temperatures, possibly even just a bit above normal, but it won't stay for long, because as we go into this, watch how this heat ridge sort of retreats back west, and notice where our winds are coming from. Now we've got that northwest flow going on. Here's that low pressure, this upper level low that's moving in here. What's happened to this? It's having to go up and around that heat ridge, all right? And then eventually it'll start to take a dive down, and you start to see that make it dive down as we end our time period here. But the heat ridge starts to flatten out a little bit, and you've got this northwest flow going on. Translate that over to our 16-day temperature spread. Here's where we are for the next 3 days here, and you can see we stay very below normal today. 80 today, 83 tomorrow. This is according to the GFS ensembles. My forecasts are just a bit higher. I forecasted 81 today, but it's still pretty well in line with that. And so we start to warm up, the slow warming trend. It actually takes us into the 90s here for 3 days early next week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm not truly convinced that we get into the 90s with this, to be completely honest. The bottom line is we're going to have daily thunderstorm chances, and whenever you've got really hot and muggy, soupy, we're going to be soupy, all right. It would be a good way to describe this, but really humid air is harder to heat than dry air. Dry air can push you into the 90s real fast if it's heated. This type of air necessarily cannot. So 90 may be a struggle, but upper 80s are almost a certainty to near 90. Regardless, I don't think 92 is in play just yet. We'll see. But regardless, after that, you notice eventually it goes back down, and we go back down to a really a below normal pattern, because as I said, 88 degrees is our normal high temperature. And so really you're going up to normal on these particular days, and everything else in the time frame is then below normal, and you start to go back down. You're rising up to near normal temperatures, and then you go back down. That's exactly what we saw with this. You've got that heat ridge that builds up. We're sort of underneath of this. Notice right now we're sort of in that northwest flow again. Eventually that gives way this heat ridge that's caused by the ripple effect from the typhoon, and then eventually we go back down again. And by the way, if we just sort of take a look at what we can expect over really the next month to 45 days, this is a controversial model. This is a climate index model that we have, the CFS model version 2. And what we're looking at here is temperature spreads over the next 45 days, just to give you an idea of what it's thinking here. Now, don't take this completely as solidly reliable, but it's just one tool that we use. And here you can see that. Here's where we are. We're below normal, but eventually we start to go sort of above normal, just by a little bit, and that heat ridge starts to retreat. And then here we go. Now, according to this, we're going well below normal, potentially even 4, 5, even maybe even almost 6 degrees Celsius below normal. So that's going to be 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit below normal temperatures here. So that's going to push us down into either the upper 70s to the low 80s if this is right. So this is going to be very similar to weather to what we're experiencing now, and it looks like we may have part 2 of that coming up for us again. And then that sort of hangs around for a few days, and then you see the below normal pattern continues until maybe a little bit later in the period, where you start to go just the slightest little bit above normal again. But according to this, with the temperature wise, maybe only 2 or 3 degrees Celsius above normal, so really not all that bad above normal. And then we go right back down into a period where we're potentially below again. So it's sort of going to be an up-down roller coaster pattern here, and this is the exact same pattern that we saw last winter time too. Nothing really has changed at this point. And outside of something like El Nino occurring, nothing's going to break this pattern. And right now, we're not certain that El Nino is going to occur. You can actually take a look at the last video I did a couple of days ago, and you'll be able to see my take on El Nino. But it just doesn't look like it's really forming at this point, and not to the super Nino strength that the models were saying that we were going to. It doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point. And so it looks like we're going to be stuck in this same old pattern again. Now, as I said, plenty of rain chances. We'll go ahead and take a look at this. Let's put this into motion here. And we're taking a look at the surface map over the next few days, and if I can get it to work here we go. Here comes the next few days. Small rain chances this weekend. Here is Sunday afternoon, and you can see Sunday afternoon just some very isolated rain chances on the GFS. It's gone. Monday looks pretty well clear according to the GFS for us. Then we got some isolated chances on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. By the time Thursday strikes through, we got a cold front that's moving through the area, which will help to begin that cool down phase that you saw in the extended outlook, and we may have some rain with that. So basically, we don't have a whole lot of rain in the forecast next week, but we got pretty much almost daily annoying chances is the way it goes. Then by the time next weekend strikes, we've got potentially a cold front on late Saturday night into early Sunday morning, the 26th and the 27th that could arrive, and that could bring the potential for some severe weather for it. If we switch over here and we take a look at winds at 18,000 feet, you can see the best wind parameters are by far here in central and northern Indiana. We're only looking at maybe 30 to 40 knots of wind down here over southern Indiana, and really the 50 and 60 knots are up a little bit further to our north. Instability wise, certainly we'll have plenty of instability that afternoon. We always do during the summertime, but it's showing 25 to 100 plus units a cape, upwards of 3,000 units a cape. Joules per kilogram is the units. So that's certainly plenty enough to fuel severe weather, but the winds. Really, the best winds are going to stay to our north. If we take a look at our bulk shear product, this is a change in wind speed as you go up from the surface to 18,000 feet. And you can see the best change in wind speed is really starting up from Bloomington on north. So, again, that's possible that could shift further down to the south. The models keep shifting this around, monitoring the 26th, 27th time range for something severe in the area. Doesn't look like a major event for us at this point, but it looks like a little brush with potentially some severe weather. We will most certainly keep an eye on it. All right, so right now, the way it looks, bottom line is we have a warm-up, slow, gradual warm-up over the next few days. Some return to normal weather, upper 80s to near 90 degrees for a few days next week before another cool down comes in. And the question is, how big is that cool down going to be? We don't know at this point, but I think low 80s is almost a certainty at this point, the way things look to me. So that's going to be a nice, refreshing change. And again, our normal high is 88. So even if it doesn't make it down into the 70s, I'll take 84 and under. That's pleasant for this time in July. We have not had many days in the 90s at all this year, and I'm not even sure we're going to hit 100 this year at the way we're going. So I guess for that we can be thankful. So sort of the way things stand. All right, let's talk about your forecast. Let's go to southernindianaweather.com and we'll take a look at your updated 7-day forecast. I'm forecasting 81 today, a sun and clouds mix. It's really becoming more of a partly cloudy sky this afternoon. So we had a lot of clouds this morning. Those are starting to thin out. Going down to 62 for the area tonight. Gradual warm-up begins tomorrow, 84, but no rain to deal with. Rain potentially on Sunday, again, only in an isolated fashion, 86. And then here, as we take a look through your extended outlook, you get the same thing. 88 Monday, 88 Tuesday, whenever you're talking about 20% chances of rain. Starts to increase a little bit later in the period where you got 30 and 40% chances of rain. Again, mid to upper 80s. So not an oppressive heat, but with all of the humidity that's going to be pumped back in, it's going to be soupy, and certainly the heat indices will be up above 90 most likely. So we'll keep that in mind, and but notice that we've got a nice cool off after that coming. So we'll deal with it for a few days, and we'll have some reward after that again. I guess we got to pay for the 70-degree weather somehow. All right. So that is your updated 7-day forecast. Really quickly before we go, folks, we have some opportunities to advertise with us opening up on the webpage real soon, and on our Facebook advertising as well. So if you're interested in doing some advertising with us, give me an email, southerninwx@gmail.com. This banner here at the header of the top page is going to be opening up very soon. The Du Bois County Bombers have had a great season, but they're finishing up their season, and I'll be looking for another person to take on that, and that'll be opening up soon. Of course, we've got the Smile Center here and RNG Garage that are advertising with us, but we're always looking for more people to advertise. On our sidebars, we have some other great opportunities as well. We have Verizon now advertising. We think the Verizon store there in Washington is advertising with us over our live radar, but we can put banners over things as well. If we go back to the forecast page, we can put a banner right here over the forecast page. We can put it over our blog or many other things. We've also got a lot of great opportunities on our website, and not only on our website, but on our Facebook page as well. You can advertise with this, for example, like what For Heaven's Sake Gift Shop is doing on your Plan Your Day forecast. We have plenty of opportunities like that open. So great way to get some word out about your business. We're always looking to work with new sponsors, so give me an email, southerninwx@gmail.com. We got some great rates for you, and we'd love to work with you. That's it for this video update, folks. Great weather today and into this weekend. Slow warming trend, but we'll get through it. Another one of these videos tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great day, folks, and stay safe.